Hi guys, Kevin with Gopherlax, and today we are going to do the final in-depth review of the Mark IIV. So here we go. All right, so this head's out now. You can go anywhere online and order it. Initial review of it, it's in the same family as the Mark II heads, so very similar. Some differences: the shorter throat on this one, obviously, because so you can get your hand closer to the bottom of the stick. This one's got one pinhole, or locking pinhole. This one's got three. It's got two on the front and one on the side. Just with the throat that short, you need to have some extra durability on that. And I initially worried about how having the three pins in there would stress the top of the head, but I beat the crap out of this head and didn't see any issues. Same with why I ordered the black one. I want to see over in time, especially the first generation of a head, is after the abuse, if I would start to see some of the stress cracks that you'll see in colored heads like the Clutch or the CEO, especially the CEO if you dye it, you can start to see stress cracks where the head is starting to break. But in this, I haven't seen anything. And like I said, I beat the crap out of this head. Going back to the comparison, same family as scoops. I did all my ground balls on grass. It's less forgiving, and it gives a better interpretation of how the scoop works. And without giving the superlatives of all the heads are reviewed away, that will be coming in the next video. This one had the best scoop of the bunch. A lot of face-off heads to create some flexibility points in the top third of the head. They do some funky things with this. I mean, the scoop on this is slightly different, slightly thinner than the 2V, but just as good of a scoop as this one, and I only put this one a notch below the Stallion 700 as having the best scoop for a MIDI head. So, same string holes. I mean, you can use, depending on where you want the pattern, you can use the same pattern in a 2V and the F. It's by far the lightest of the heads I reviewed. I think some of the factoring into that is the 2F mesh, which I had some concern for me at the beginning. It is so light, it makes 3X feel like old school dry hard mesh. I was wondering how the ball would release from it, how it would shoot, and honestly I couldn't tell a difference on it. So great job on that. Shooting passing the head worked just like the 2Vs, or the 2Ts, 2Ds, they all kind of working the same. One of the things I love about the String King heads is the catching radius, and what that means is when you catch the ball cleanly, it's always going to right where the pocket is built. You don't feel it rattle off the side of the head like you will in some other heads. There's several heads I won't use because you can feel it click and rattle off the head. This just seems to hit when you're receiving the stick, your sweet spot every time, which is an added bonus. Let's go over some of the differences now. So as you can hold it here, you see the bottom 2/3 of the stick are relatively straight, and then the flare comes in this top third. This is nice because after all the face-offs I've done, every once in a while the head would cant to the side a little bit, and you just tug it back and it goes in place. But there was absolutely no hourglassing. You know, in some of the other heads, you'll start to see that already. By them keeping it straight, you don't have this inset here that you can see at the normal heads, and that's really where, when it hourglasses, that's where the pinching is coming from. Added to that, a higher flex point. The flex of the head is closer to where this flare is, so by them having it up a little bit, hopefully that cuts down on the hourglassing. I'm sure that after several months of use, it may, but I could see this head snapping and breaking before you get those severe, heads that look like that. That being said, I would throw a softball on it at night and throw it on the floor to keep the shape. But as you can see, it looks almost new. So a lot of you guys asked about the flex point. Instead of me getting the camera, you can see as it's pushing here, the flexing is concentrated right there. But even then, even if I really wrenched on it and put it back, it's almost still got its perfect shape. So you can, it's flexible enough to do this, but it's not going to stay like that like one of the other heads that won't be mentioned until the final review. If you did that, the head stayed off on that side and you really had to wrench it back in order to keep it there. For me, it's the perfect blend of being flexible without being too super soft, and not being or not having it be overly stiff. Now, there's some face-off heads that are increasingly stiff that you have to boil, bake, however you want to prep them. This was easy, right out of the box, strung it up, and went to town with it. For a first-generation face-off head, they really knocked it out of the park on this one. There aren't any real issues I can think of it. Now, maybe if you're a long pole facing off, again, I don't know how this top third would hold up over the time, especially the added torque of being on a long pole. But, if that's one of the fewest reserves I have about this head, that's saying something. So, check it out. Hit me up with a comment if you have any other questions, and look for the final review comparing all the heads later on this week. Thanks.